I just saw you smile.
What's happening?
What's happening? You look so good,
Thank
so
you.
vibrant.
Yeah, I didn't make it the same size. I didn't want to like one up you.
You'd have to like black out a whole tooth.
And last time I did that, they sent me home. So. Hey guys, before we start the video, I want to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's episode, Martha Stewart and Marley Spoon. Martha Stewart and Marley Spoon is a meal subscription service which delivers meals like no other. They offer over 100 recipes each week, including premium recipes for those special occasions, and add-ons like breakfast, desserts, appetizers, and more. And they also cater to a wide variety of diets, including pescatarian, vegetarian, low carb, and with flavors from all around the world to satisfy any palate. They have a bunch of stuff that I haven't even heard of before. We got salmon with like orzo rice. I don't even know what orzo was. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing orzo correctly, but it tasted good. And the recipe cards they send you are super easy to follow. And they don't have some long-winded backstory on them. It's just simple, easy to read recipes with pictures. And the recipe cards they send you, you can also tweak and kind of make them your own. We wanted to try some different stuff, and we had one recipe that was like a breakfast cornbread with like sausage in it, but we wanted to add like a little more kick to it. So instead of using the sausage that they sent us, we went and got like a spicy sausage to add instead. And it was really good. It was like the recipe that they sent was already really good, but just the added spice that we threw in, it just, I don't know, it was not something we would have came up with on our own, but it allowed us to expand our horizon. Oh gosh. And because everything is prepackaged in proportion, there wasn't any waste. Because sometimes whenever you buy groceries for a meal, you end up having like half a bag of cheese you don't need, or a bunch of lettuce for some reason. There's always lettuce. And I'm not just saying this because it's an ad, but like full transparency, we got a burger recipe and they are probably the best burgers I have ever made in my life. On my channel, like all the sponsors that we have are all sponsors that I would recommend for people to try, things that I would use myself, and I would highly recommend any foodies out there that watch my channel to try Martha Stewart and Marley Spoon. And for a little more incentive, you can use the link in the description and use coupon code MADDY and get up to $260 off your first 8 boxes. That's $3.99 a portion for 8 meals delivered to your door. And now, on to the video. Hi guys, welcome back to a Shoft and Shuffle episode of Give It To Me Straight. I'm your host, Maddy Morphosis, and on the show today we have the Miss Congeniality of Season 12 and the walkout star of All Stars 8, Miss Heidi in Closet.
You know what? That's probably the best way I've ever heard it put, and that's probably how I'm going to put it from now on, the walkout star. I see it.
The walkout star, yeah.
I see it. I was a breakout star the first time. I'm a walkout star this time. I love. I'm enamored with it.
Yeah, a queen of many titles, many hats.
All of them.
Uh-huh.
Minis.
I just don't know if your earring's a little frog.
Phineas the frog.
Oh, Phineas. Does he have a backstory?
Yeah, well, a fan in Brazil gave him to. He was actually in my confessionals as well.
Okay.
Had a little earring, but a fan in Brazil gave him to me. It was very sweet. There's 2 of them, and the other one's name is Ferb. But Ferb don't like to travel.
Yeah.
So he stays at home.
Yeah.
But we do tell him about all the journeys we've had.
Okay, he lives vicariously through Phineas.
He likes to watch.
I just saw the frog. I just noticed it, and I was like, "Is this like there's some special meaning? Is this like that pet frog you had back in Ramsar that you taxidermied?"
No, fun fact though, I have a history with frogs. My grandmother grew up and they put a frog in her bed, and she grew up deathly terrified of frogs. So it kind of instilled a fear of frogs for me as well.
For me, it was a fear of horses.
Really?
My grandma would always do that thing.
They got a lot of teeth.
It's like I had multiple family members. Most of my grandma, she'd be like, you know, it feels like when a horse bites an apple, and they give you like a little pinch. It's like a little joke, and I was like,
oh,
but it made me in my head, like as a 4-year-old child, I barely had object permanence, but
right.
I was like, horses will bite you. Horses hurt.
Could you imagine a horse biting you though?
I
would imagine it kind of similar to like Steve Harvey biting someone.
He gets kinky. He gets into it.
When Steve Harvey gets a little too into it. Yeah.
Let's see what's on the board.
See, this was on the board.
You know, like bull, snakes, all that. But it's like horses. I see a horse, and I'm like, if anything's gonna bite me, it's that guy.
It's that one right there. I see it though. I can see it. They got long faces. They can reach out.
Don't trust people with long faces.
And don't. And don't.
Long faces and ill intentions. But as I mentioned earlier, you are the Miss Congeniality. Do you think you should have been Miss Congeniality, considering that you told everyone on the cast, "Fuck you"?
Absolutely. Because all the other girls were rotted too. Like,
oh, okay, you were just the least.
I was the least. That's the thing. I was the least rotted up a rotten bunch. So yeah.
Yeah.
You know when you see the apple and it got all the dark spots on it and stuff, and like if there's a cut on it, you can see it peeling back a little bit, and like the inside's a little brown. That's me.
Uh-huh.
The little brown one.
You were worm-free, though.
I was worm-free.
Worm-free.
Well, until I got home. Then I got some worm in me.
Yeah, well, it's different. Yeah. But I was doing like a little research and I realized that there's like so much overlap between us. I think you're probably the queen I have the most in common with on the season, backstory-wise. Because just like backstory-wise.
I'm straight too.
I'm straight too.
I'm straight.
Outside of the obvious. But, for instance, like we both grew up poor, small conservative town, less than 2,000 people in the South.
Oh my God.
The nearest big city was Fayetteville.
Oh my God.
Is that where you started drag, Fayetteville?
No, I started drag in Greensboro.
Okay, Greensboro. Both had like our mother left at an early age, raised by our grandma, band kids, and we both got red for our makeup, and it wasn't even that bad.
And it wasn't even that bad. And that's the gag. Like, for me personally, I was on a season with almost all makeup artists.
Yeah.
So, of course, mine was going to look like shit in comparison. Of course. So, yeah. Oh, my God. But I did not realize that we had so much in common.
I didn't either. I was looking at 7, and I was just like...
We should do a twins photo shoot after this.
The twinsies? Yeah, let's do it.
I'll put on, like, a little kit and caboodle wig, and you can put on my dreadlocks.
Let's make it happen.
Let's do it.
Let's
do it.
People haven't tried to cancel me in a minute, just for old time's sake.
It's good to almost get canceled every once in a while.
Oh, it builds character.
Toughens the skin a little bit.
Oh, yeah, but like, speaking of the makeup thing.
Yes.
I feel like on the show, whatever gets said to you or about you, people run with it, no matter what it is. Like I said, people reading like for the makeup and stuff. I was looking back, I was like, my makeup was not even that bad. I left that show gaslit, thinking I was like the ugliest queen this side of the Mississippi. And I was looking back, I was like, I wasn't even that bad. Lady Camden didn't even have a top lip.
Not a single stitch of a lip. Like, made Reba look like she had a good lift job, honey. That's what it was looking like.
Yeah.
We love Camden though, but yeah, no lip whatsoever, top lip.
Yeah, she's grown, but beside the point.
Yeah, it's gotten bigger. Have you noticed? Have you seen it?
Huh?
Have you seen the lip now?
I know, yeah. It's just overlining. She hasn't even got it pumped yet.
Yeah, that's the guy.
That's not even an all-star lip. That's just growth.
Can't wait to see it though. You know,
she's just gonna show up all stars like
Eureka level lips. Just
full on.
Just a cushion on her face.
Yeah, you found it.
They live.
So how's it been post All Stars? Like, did you find like a new influx of like fans or haters? Like, what's been the reception since you left the show?
For me personally, it's been overwhelming, mostly positive, actually. Thank goodness. Thank y'all all also for all y'all out there who see me and feel me and understand what I was going through. So I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much. There has been some people who are haters who don't necessarily like quitters, and that's fine. But when I think about it, it's like I never asked no one to like me.
Just the judges.
I never do. Don't even them. Never been asked them to like me. So I'll be like, if you don't like me or you don't like that I quit, I don't know what to tell you, boo. It is what it is. But if you fuck with me, I fuck with you. Period.
Well, with All Stars, like you did join an elite group of queens that have left the show. A small crew. I think it's 8 now because the queen just walked out again.
Yes.
1 of 8. 1 of 7 when you did it. Do you, like, in hindsight, are you glad you left when you did?
I am. I'm very glad that I left when I did because I was not in the right space mentally, for sure. And then after I quit the show and I got to watch more of the season and stuff afterwards, with how the girls were acting, I would have definitely had like broke all out, like. No. Like, I was like, thank God I left.
You're like, I jumped ship when I should have.
Yes.
Yeah. Obviously, like, there's stuff that was happening in the show, the reason why you left. But, like, was there other things motivating behind the scenes to kind of push you out the door?
Yeah, well, for one, my family life was really, like, falling apart before I even got there. My grandmother passed away before the season, like a year or so before the season. And I kind of just delved into work, and I didn't really check in on myself. I didn't allow myself time to heal and feel that, so I kind of just threw myself into work. And then being there in the pressure cooker that is Drag Race, it kind of overwhelmed me, and it fucked with my mental state, as well as like being there and like long hours, no, like it's just was overwhelming and a lot for me, for sure. And then the rest of my family was going through a lot of turmoil. The last time that I was with my entire family in entirety, my brother pulled a gun out on my uncle. So that's how, and that was probably like a month and a half before I left for All Stars. So, you know.
Was that like around the time like your grandma was passing?
My grandmother had passed a while back before that.
Okay.
But she was kind of like the matriarch of the family, so she left a big hole in the family, and the hole just, it couldn't get together. It couldn't, like, it had been festering over the year that she had been gone.
I'll have to add that to the list of similarities between us. Like my great-grandma, matriarch of the family, when she passed, it was like the same thing. All turmoil, everyone started falling apart.
Crazy.
My uncle pulled a gun out.
Excuse me.
You know.
It's crazy. You never know what, like, until that happens, you don't know what it's like when you see your family starting to tear it itself. It's an ugly thing, and it's hard to deal with, for sure.
So were you always a quitter, or is that like a new era you're entering right
now? Oh my God, I think it's my new era. I think it's since I left All Stars like a year and some change now ago, it put me in a place where, one, it was a dark place at first, but then I had to force myself to get out of that, and it forced me to get tougher skin. It forced me to stop caring what others necessarily cared or thought about me, and it's really forced me to grow up a lot more than where I was beforehand. So even though I hate how my run on the season ended, it did put me in a much better place in the outside world. So I have to be grateful for that.
Yeah. So you took the road less traveled. Sometimes the right path is not the most comfortable one.
Exactly. Sometimes you gotta take a little bumpy ride. I love a good bump.
Well, like as we were saying, like your grandmother, like she passed away. She was also the person that raised you, because your mom passed when you were very young. Where was your dad in all this?
My father, when my mother passed, my grandmother got custody of me and my siblings, and then my father, he was kind of estranged. He lived like 2 towns over. For me personally, I've always felt like he, being the father, should put more effort into wanting to get to know me as a person versus like I personally, you brought me here. I didn't ask to be here. Like, I should not be the one having to put the effort forward for you to get to know me.
Yeah, like I was fine being a tadpole. Now I got to pay taxes.
Right, now I got to pay bills, taxes, deal with people online. It's a lot. Yeah. I didn't ask for it.
Yeah, but you're obviously very close with your grandma, but she wasn't always the most supportive of like your sexuality. What was it like as a young gay child under her roof?
Well, being that she's an older Southern Black woman, she was very Christian. We very much were in church like 5 times a week easily sometimes, and it definitely put a hindrance on me understanding who I was as a person and feeling like I couldn't be myself. But she was always supportive of me being who I was. Me being gay, it wasn't necessarily it was actually more so the drag that was what created the most rift. She didn't care that she didn't care that I was gay. She didn't like that I was gay, but she still loved me. She struggled more with me doing drag. I think it was easier for her to understand that I was gay because I had 2 uncles who were her children who were also gay, and my mother was actually bisexual as well. And then my eldest sibling, she's a trans woman. So my family's been very queer. So she had gotten used to kind of being with gay people and having that experience. That didn't mean she liked it any more than she did. So that's definitely where some of the like back and forth struggle was. Like I know this old woman. She was like, I don't know how about every other person in this family's a homosexual. And she's just like the most church-going woman. I was like, I know she's probably confused.
She's like Terry Joe.
Just like, where?
You came out, she's like, you're homosexual.
You a homosexual too? Not you too. That's yeah.
But I just said like your sister was trans. A lot of people that I've interviewed and talked to, they tell a very similar story where like they came out to their parents and like the gay was one thing, but then the drag, a lot of them assumed that meant their child wanted to become a woman.
Yes.
Is that very much what she thought because your older sister had come out as trans also?
I think that's what she thought at first. And then when I made it very clear that I just loved to perform, because originally I was a dancer and I was actually not fully trained, but I was like in the works of becoming a trained dancer. And that's what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to perform. I wanted to dance around the world, but I couldn't do that, unfortunately, because I had to get a job and help take care of the family and stuff. So that's what I did. So drag originally was for me to be able to reconnect with that performer side of me and express myself in that sense. And then when I was able to express that to her, she kind of cooled off a little bit. And then by the end of it, she was actually a good supporter of my drag. And I remember I was going to go do one of my first pageants ever. And she was like, now make sure you get the right pantyhose because you don't want them to clock you for not wearing, don't you wear them white pantyhose. I'm like, okay, grandma. She had to make sure there ain't no runs in them. Then she'd also ask like to see videos and stuff. So it was like, she took a while to warm up to it, but we got there.
And she inadvertently was giving you tips from the church, like that,
right.
like, what hoses you're wearing. And
white stockings, black shoes.
Shouldn't be allowed in the church. I know that growing up in the South, as a child with a little sugar in their tank, it obviously is a red flag for a lot of people. Like, when did you start becoming more open with who you were? Was there a period where you were actually in closet?
Yes, actually. I was very much in the closet. It was hard for me to be in the closet because everyone else was like, you're gay. I'm like, no, I'm not. But I did come out my sophomore year of high school. I was in Winter Guard. And
like in the bed, right?
Yeah, I was in the bed. I was in Winter Guard, and two of my closest friends at the time, Jordan Maurer and Curtis Witzman, they probably won't see this, but Jordan's a homosexual, so he might see this.
You don't know my demographic.
Curtis is in the Army, so maybe. We were the closest friends, and we were like hanging out, and we were always like, we would alternate spending night at each other's house when we had a competition, and the night they were all at my house, and we were all in the bed, and it was a king size bed. We're just laying there, and I was just in the middle, and I was like, y'all, I think I'm bi, and then just crickets for like 5 minutes, just
everyone had to digest it,
and I was just sitting there, just like, I definitely should not have done this right now.
Yeah.
But they were both like, okay. And then we kept kicking in and cutting up and stuff. And lo and behold, the very next day on the bus, everybody knew I was at least bisexual. I was like, great. And then for a week, I was Heidi and bisexual. And then the next week, I was like, nah, y'all, I'm gay, y'all. I'm definitely a homosexual. Yeah.
With that, like, did you experience like bullying in school because of your sexuality?
Oh, God, I was bullied relentlessly.
It's ruthless and relentless.
Yes, relentlessly. I was bullied. I remember the first time I was ever bullied. I wasn't bullied in first grade or kindergarten. Second grade, there was this guy, Jacob. Hold away, you asshole. He was a transfer student into my school, and we were doing a test in second grade, and it was just quiet as can be. And all of a sudden, he's sitting in front of me. He turns around, looks at me. He's like, "Are you a?" I was like, and then after that, I got bullied from second grade to sophomore year.
That one kid was the catalyst. What was his name again?
Jacob Holdaway, who also became a cheerleader in college, but we just don't leave it at that.
Do you think most of the homophobia you experienced in school was made worse by the fact that you were in color guard?
Yeah! No, the gag. Oh my God, I look hot.
Little cheek.
I look bitch. Them sleeves were everything. They were the girls had smaller sleeves. They gave me these big. They had to have mine custom made actually. Like the girls, they all got their outfits from like another guard that was bigger than ours, so they were able to borrow theirs. They had to have one of the band moms make that vest, make that shirt, and I had the slacks myself. Oh my God! But the gag is, people stopped bullying me when I got into dance and into color guard, because I had community. And that's why everyone out there who's watching, if you're young, gay, queer, lesbian, anything out there, find you a community where you can be yourself, and it does get better. For sure.
And it doesn't have to be color guard. It can be something else.
It can be anything. Yeah. Find your community. It does get better. Truly.
But you had a lot of, oh my gosh, the puberty.
It hit. Oh my God, finally. About that time.
God damn.
Yeah.
Gather myself, lubricate.
Allow yourself to feel. Yeah.
But Color Guard and dance, they weren't your only extracurriculars. You also were in double dutch in middle school.
A little bit.
And you even had a brief stint doing track.
Wow, you did some digging, didn't you? Yes, honey. I did do some.
Was that when you were still in your trade era? You're like, I'm gonna do sports.
It was around the same time I got into dance too. So I was like doing a little bit of everything. It was very much because I didn't want to keep going to church all the time. So I had to find extracurriculars at school to get out of going to church all the time. So I ran track, I did color guard, I did dance, and track was so much fun. Me and my sister my other sister is 2 years older than me, so she was a senior my sophomore year. So she was running track too, and I ran. We'd go on our little track meets and stuff, meet all these friends. I remember one of my first crushes was on the track team. He was a senior, Dominique Golston. Oh.
You just like replay memories of him just in slow motion.
Just running. He was a long distance runner too. I'm like, oh my God.
Miles.
Dominique Golston, if you're out there, come home, baby.
I want you to come home, baby.
I want you to come home.
So like in high school, though, you were like jumping hurdles both physically and like emotionally, spiritually. Yes. It was a lot for Heidi.
It was definitely a lot. It was a navigation, and I made it through because my family was somewhat supportive when they needed to be.
Well, a lot of people don't know about you is that you're also a huge fucking nerd. When did you start getting into like D&D and stuff like that?
Oh goodness. Well, I've always been a big nerd. Always been a big nerd. I didn't have a lot of friends growing up. No. Still don't. But I keep a small circle. But I got into D&D over quarantine. I've always been fascinated with fantasy. I've always gotten fascinated by role playing, and those are the kind of games I always played too. So I always wanted to play Dungeons and Dragons, but I didn't have friends to play Dungeons and Dragons. So during quarantine, once I moved out to LA, I met some people that became like my quarantine circle, and they also love Dungeons and Dragons, and we started playing it weekly. It was also just allowed me to just live and enjoy it, and I love D&D. Have you played?
I have. I've been doing a stream lately with a couple Dragula girls, Abora, Eva Destruction.
They want to get me for that. Hopefully I'll get to do it.
Yeah, hopefully. With like your love of Dungeons and Dragons, like I said, you're probably one of the biggest fans of it in the Drag Race franchise.
Oh, for sure.
How slighted did you feel whenever you saw they were doing a Dungeons and Dragons show and you weren't invited?
Mad disrespected. I felt now, Jake. Well, the gag was I had done something big. I actually worked with Critical Role, who they're also one of the big names in
like the people with
exactly affiliated with Dungeons and Dragons, and I had done that actually like shortly after I got back from quitting All Stars. So I'd already done that, and hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll be doing more with them. So I was like, you know what? Let the other girls enjoy it, because I feel like most of them were on the side of learning how to play Dungeons and Dragons. I enjoy watching new people play it, so I was like living for it. And the selection of girls that they got, perfect. Jujubee was the perfect, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm having fun type of girl. And the other girls were also great too. It was great.
I feel like they needed someone like you though, like an expert, a veteran.
Someone who knows what they're doing.
Someone to be their Sherpa up the mountain of D&D.
To steer us.
Yeah. Did you have any other jobs outside of the gas station?
Yeah, I had many jobs. I worked at Burger King. Burger King was actually my very first job.
You were a burger queen.
And I was.
Okay.
I also
your first crown. It was a paper one.
Honey, it was. It was. The number of crowns over it. I also worked at a factory that did screen printing on shirts. I also worked at a hospital at Environmental Services, which is the fancy word to say janitor. But the best job I ever had was selling urine.
Wait. Okay. Rewind that back for a minute. Selling urine?
Yes, I used to sell urine. Back when I used to have clean, no drug pee. Like I'm a believer in the marijuana, and so now I can't do it.
Oh, it wasn't like it was like a freelance job more.
Yeah,
it wasn't like
yes.
Okay, you weren't paying taxes on
people would come. No.
Okay.
People would come to me. They would need clean pee for their job applications or to not get put in jail or whatever. They'd come to that morning, pay me my money. I would pee for them, or I would go with them, go across the street to a gas station, pee in a cup, give it to them. They'd have to put it on their person close to their genitalia so it would be warm, because it needs to still be warm when they get there and stuff. So, Yeah.
How long did you do that for?
God, about 5 years.
Oh, you were the designated piss girl in
Baby,
Ramsar.
I'm the reason why a lot of people in Randolph County got jobs. They're welcome. For sure.
You were the backbone of that community.
Let me tell you, I was they say pay it forward, bitch. I was peeing forward.
Staying hydrated.
Had to.
Heidi hydrates.
And it's always been in me. Always.
All the jobs you had, like I assume you had probably some retail jobs. Being the designated piss girl of Ramsar was not the one I expected.
I know. Isn't it crazy?
That was essentially community service. You were working at a nonprofit. Well,
honestly,
it was a profit, but
I mean, it was what it was. It was non-tax money.
Which gas station were you working at though?
The Quick Check.
The Quick Check.
Oh, Quick Check, yeah, ma'am.
Quick Check. I was saying like, you give me come and go vibes, but Quick Check, I can see Quick Check.
I prefer them come and stay, but
okay,
come and goes are fine too. Yeah.
Definitely not a Buc-ee's. You weren't that bougie.
No, girl, could never. Could never. The BP was a dream. Like I could never aspire to be that good. Like no, the Quick Check was cool. I mean, except for that one time or that other time. Most of it. It was shit.
Look, I know. I know. Even as someone that just buys gas, I've seen some shit at the gas station. What's like the craziest thing you ever saw working the gas station?
One night I had just finished cleaning the bathroom. I was about 10 minutes out from closing up shop. And someone came in. They used the restroom really hard. I was like, okay, I'll just go like touch up the seat or whatever. They left in a hurry. I go into the bathroom. There's shit on the toilet seat. There's shit on the wall. There's shit in the sink. There's shit on the mirror. There's shit on the plunger.
A massacre.
And I was just like, who would do such a thing?
At the Quick Check.
At the Quick.
On a Wednesday.
You could at least went shit in the parking lot and left it in a nice little pile like I do.
Yeah.
Like
a like a normal human being.
Like a common, decent human being.
Civilized.
And I was nice enough to give him the key to go use the restroom after I cleaned it. I could have been like, sorry, it's closed. So I called my manager. I was like, I'm not cleaning this up. You can clean it up in the morning. And I left it.
Was that the day you quit?
No.
No?
Mm-mm.
What was the straw that broke the camel's back for you?
The straw that broke the camel's back was I actually had gotten fired from the gas station. I had closed the pizza place down 5 minutes early and all the pizza was already gone anyways. I'm like, okay, well, this woman comes in probably about 2 minutes before the pizza is supposed to be like completely shut down. She's like, can I get a pizza? I was like, well, ma'am, to be fair, I just closed it down. And she was not having it. She was pissed that I closed the pizza down 5 minutes early. So she went, complained to my manager, and my manager fired me. I got fired for not making the woman pizza when Taylor, who was also working at the gas station, was selling weed out the bathroom, and we all knew.
I don't know if people even got fired from the gas station.
Yeah, no. I am a queen of many titles, as you said earlier.
Like, do you think it was because of the pizza incident? Or do you think there was like some other reason behind it, why you actually got fired?
Not there. If it would have been the hospital, there'd been a different reason. There was definitely reasons behind it. I think.
What happened at the hospital?
So there's so I worked in environmental services. It was a department. There was a head of it, and the woman underneath her was like a head of us. So the woman that was a head of us, she didn't necessarily care for me. She was one of those. She believes in Jesus a little too strongly, and she's one of those. She's one of those, and she just did not like me. And then she lied to the department head and said I had been dusting the rooms when the people who come into the hospital were still in the room, like the patients were still in the room, and I knew that was a lie because I never dusted. So
there was other issues, but that wasn't
that. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, bitch, I know you fucking lying, but I couldn't say that to the boss. I'm like, boss, now what would I look like? Be like, boss, I've never done that because I don't dust. Look at my duster; it's clean. I don't dust. She's lying.
So go run a finger in the room right
now.
But
let me tell you, it's dusty as hell in these rooms. I'm gonna tell you that right now, okay? But I couldn't do that, so I was like, okay, well, she got me. It's okay though. It is what it is.
Damn. Like leaving those jobs, and you started to focus a lot more like on your drag. Like, did you have like an end goal for drag? Like, was Drag Race always the goal, or did you have like other ambitions?
No, I was never real like Drag Race. I always fantasized getting on Drag Race. I always fantasize winning Drag Race. Clearly, one of those things happened. But it wasn't my end all be all. Like, even the year I got on the show, I wasn't intending on going to the show originally. I auditioned at the last second. So in North Carolina, drag is hard to like get your drag going unless you're like doing the pageants and stuff and like showing the girls what you do and this is what you bring to the table, this, that, and the third. So that's what I was focusing on mostly. I actually won North Carolina Entertainer of the Year months before I left for Drag Race. So I was actually supposed to compete at Nationals the week I left for Drag Race season 12. So that was the main focus of my drag career moving forward.
So you didn't go to Nationals?
No, I had to choose between Drag Race and Nationals. I made the wrong decision.
I was about to say, yeah, you know, hindsight.
I should have gone.
I feel like you're a very like fun performer to watch, but I feel like your charisma is really what stands out the most about you. Do you feel like your charisma in drag is what really elevated you despite how dry your wigs were?
This is what you brought me here for? You brought me here to drag me?
I was just asking a question. I'm trying to get to know you better.
After I risked my life to get here.
What does that mean?
I was in mug when I got in the car. I could have got mugged.
They were
Do you know how many children I passed by to get into the car with you today?
In Vegas on a Friday?
Yeah, like 8. I could have got locked up if this had been another state.
It's true.
Why?
But it's not.
Risk my life.
It's Vegas. So
I risked my life to come get dragged by Maddy Morphosis. Wow.
You're being hyperbolic. I was asking a question. I'm trying to get to know you better. I'm trying to like humanize you so people can like empathize, get to know you better.
Humanize?
Yeah. See the person behind
beautiful.
Heidi.
That's beautiful.
People, like, you have a story and people deserve to hear it.
They do. They do. What was the question?
Do you feel like your charisma is like what really like your personality and charisma is really what like elevated you the most in drag?
I do. I think definitely my personality, my wit, my lovingness. I feel like that's what really shines through with me and really is what allows people to connect with me. Like, anyone can be fabulous and put on a gorgeous dress or not. Or anyone can put on like the nicest wigs and things, or anyone can do that. What I have found is that people they do love to see the more human side of you. They love to get to know the person behind it. And honestly, I enjoy doing that.
I saw like a subtle dig there at my outfit. This is my church dress.
Are you talking?
I'm gonna let it go.
I
just came from service, but
I would never do such a thing, Maddy.
As you say, like I feel like your personality was what really won over a lot of the audience, like on the show. Whenever you went to the show, did you think you were gonna make it as far as you did? No,
I did not. No, absolutely not. I didn't think I was gonna make it as far as I did. I didn't think I was gonna be as likable as I was because, before the show, I knew going in I was black pageant queen, and we look in the past, it hasn't necessarily been the best well received. So I was very nervous going into it, but all I could do was be myself. So that was the mentality I went in with it. And then once you realize that, yeah, I'm not winning the season, I kind of went into like Hunger Games mode, just last as long as I can. And that's kind of what my mentality for season 12 was. Like, okay, I'm just gonna last as long as I can. We're gonna do it. We're gonna get through it. And I did.
How upsetting was it when you go in, you're like, I'm a black pageant queen. It hasn't been the best for black pageant queens in the past. And then you see Jada go on to win the whole thing.
I know. Well.
Were you salty? Should have been me type thing?
Definitely not. She was definitely the girl I was rooting for out of all the girls. I was like, I remember being there and just becoming a fan of the girls. And she was one that I was just like, bitch, I appreciate drag. I see your art, I can appreciate it. And I'm like, bitch, you're sickening. And she was then, and she is now, and I was living for her. Now, there were some girls there that we didn't care about. I'm not going to talk about it.
No, please. Name names. Name names.
You're not gonna get me mad.
Pressure, do it. See, I gave you Gatorade. I should have gave you some shots.
You should have given me. Yeah, then I've been talking. Then I've been spilling.
On the show, do you think your drag name was deserving of the hate it got from RuPaul?
Absolutely not. I was so nervous at first. I was like, why does she hate it? And then the producer was like, she's just having fun with you. I was like, okay. She's at least talking about me, so she's thinking of me. And the producers are saying, she's just having fun with you. So you trust the producers sometimes. Uh, and it's very much, it was nerve wracking though, for sure. And then I was like, I don't think my name has been the worst name. I've seen some horrible names on this show.
Yeah. Who do you think didn't get their name called out that you think should have? Dax exclamation point.
That is a name. That's Calorie Kardashian.
Calorie Kardashian.
Love her. But my name got hated. Husband, I'm like, come on now. But yeah, there was plenty of names that came before me. I'm like, okay.
Another thing that people obviously know you for, some people may have noticed, is your gap. Is that something you were like insecure about as a child?
No, I kind of just went with it. I was nervous about it at first because actually I didn't have a gap at first.
It is like slowly the seeds are being parted.
No, not the seeds being parted. Not Moses and came up in my mouth said, "Come." No, actually, I didn't have a gap at all. I had just regular teeth like everybody else. And then growing up, we were drinking a lot of well water, and the water caused my forefront teeth to come out at the same time. Like, I think some of them were they were baby teeth, so I think some of them were falling out normally, but some of them, they all just kind of almost at the exact same time were just gone. So when my teeth started to grow back in, these two grew in first, and they kind of just opened up. But luckily, I had a lot of mouth, so I don't have any any shifting or anything. Aside from the gap, the teeth are actually perfectly lined. So I was never really too insecure about it. And actually, I kind of galvanized behind it because with my mother passing at such a young age, I didn't really get to know her.
But she had a gap
too. She had a gap. And I've always seen my gap as like her for me. So.
But even though you didn't want to get rid of your gap, did you ever think about like getting it like resized, like very like America's Next Top Model tees?
I was just watching that season. Danielle, oh my god, love her. Stan Danielle from America's Next Top Model. No, I didn't even want to resize. I love how big and bold it is. I think it adds just personality. I think it gives me that extra.
Like, if anything, I'll get it wider.
Girl, just be like my grandma. Have just a big old gap. My grandma had almost all her teeth removed. So she only had like 2 teeth right here for the longest time. And I would say that was her gap. And this was my gap.
I mean, technically,
So it was a gap.
If there's a tooth on each side, it's a gap.
Period. So I was like, maybe I'll make it like that.
Have you ever done things with your gap?
But yes, I do. I have many talents with my gap, actually. I can talk about it. I actually just did something with Jimbo where I went up to Canada. We filmed some stuff for a gig, for something that she's working on. And I had to do for part of it, I had to do a talent show. And I did all things gap related, where I had to do a whole talent show with just my gap. So it was actually kind of cunty. So I have many I can spit things through it. I
was gonna ask.
I can paint with it, paint a picture. I can use my gap. It's I can do a lot of things. I can fit 3/4.
Well, speaking of just 3.
The pinky wanted to join too.
On top of all the merch and everything you made, you also recently came out with a fleshlight, a Heidi and Closet fleshlight.
The Heidi and Closet quick shot.
What was the inspiration for that? What was the story? 'Cause something had to trigger that idea.
Well, it was just my genius brain, really. Well, they approached some of the girls and it was like, we would love to do a collab, and I had to think about it long and hard because I'm a Christian woman.
Right.
Those things, we don't usually talk about.
Yeah, uncouth.
So, very much lady in the streets, freak up in the sheets. So I was like, let me think on it. So I thought about it and I was like, you know what, this could be fun. This could be something new, something different for me to do. So I said, sure. However, and I need two things it has to be.
Okay.
One, it needs to be classy.
Okay.
Because I can't just be this old piece of trash. I can't be trashy. That's not me. Could never.
Right.
And then the second thing is it need to have a gap. Period. And they were obsessed with the idea. So we did it.
And there it is.
And whoop, there it
You
go.
can go get your Heidi in Closet fleshlight, and you can pick up your Jasmine Kennedy. I'm about to bust rag.
Lord, I'm about to bust.
Y'all should do a collab together.
She was supposed to give me one of them, and she never did. I'm gonna fight
See,
her.
it should be like a package deal. You get like a little discount.
Yeah.
Buy 'em together.
Yeah. We should. I'll message her. I wonder what that hoe doing.
But whenever you went to Drag Race, you spent around like $4,000 the first time you went.
Yes.
When you back to All Stars, you spent about 10 times that amount.
Yes.
With you leaving the show and the bookings you had since then, have you made that money back yet?
Oh yeah.
Okay. You're not in the red.
With that alone, yes. Patreon, I've almost made half of that back too, so I'm like, I'm doing great. Yeah.
Being in a different situation in life that you are now, what are some things you treat yourself now that you didn't get to as a kid?
Oh God.
Like, for instance, for me, it's like I buy name brand stuff. Like I'm not eating Twist and Shouts, I'm eating Oreos.
No, for sure. Like I will go name brand. Like my assistant. I have an assistant. Gag. White assistant. Oh my gosh. Reparations.
How the tables turn.
How the tables have turned. But he brought me some Cinnamon Toast Crunch, some not name brand Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I was like, oh, we're not doing this. We're not doing that. But as far as like, I'm very like frugal with my money though. So I'll splurge every once in a while. But like the biggest change for me is that I can get what I want when I want it. Not necessarily do I get it, but the ability to be able to.
Yeah.
Because I remember like back in the day, my grandma would give us 40 cents for ice cream when we go to school. I would save my ice cream money so I could buy things later on the next week with like $1.50. Now I don't have to do all that.
Yeah, no more Nintendo. You got a PS5 now.
Period.
Yeah.
Well, I have a Nintendo Switch too.
Oh, she's a Switch girl.
Have to be. Travel.
Was there a moment in life where you realized how broke you were, or did you always know?
Actually, the moment I realized how broke I was after Drag Race. I was sitting at home one day and I was reminiscing. It was after my grandmother passed and I was like in my sad phase and I was just reminiscing about all the times that we had growing up and stuff. And then I thought and remembered how on some mornings during like the summer, we would get up early, like 6 o'clock in the morning, go to the next town over and sit in front of the food pantry for 2 hours to get food so we'd have something to eat. And that was when I was like, oh, we were broke. Oh, we were struggling. We were poor, but I think I was rich on like love.
That's beautiful. For me, I was going to say, so whenever I went to a friend's house and they had name brand Kool Aid, and I realized that only the poorest people had great value Kool Aid. Yeah. These are red.
Red. What flavor Kool Aid you love? Red.
Red. Yeah. I was red or blue. I didn't fuck with orange. Only sociopaths drink orange. You drink orange? You like the orange?
I prefer red,
like
but orange is cute. Why would I like purple?
They're great.
Oh, I saw I like gray.
Yeah, I'm asking.
No, I didn't. Actually, grape was the one thing you know what I hate the most though out of all the flavors?
The green?
Watermelon.
Oh, that's like pink. Pink.
Hate. Artificial watermelon flavor. It's so nasty and disgusting. It's not what a watermelon tastes like.
Yeah. For me, it's like banana. Same way with banana.
You don't like banana?
Not artificial banana.
That's true.
Like Laffy Taffy.
Yeah. No. Yeah, you lost me. You lost me. Yeah. No.
Yeah. On the topic of broke behavior, a moment that a lot of people know about went viral. You talked about it on your podcast, Hall and Closet.
Yes.
Was the moment that you defecated in a parking garage in Glasgow.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, if you guys want to hear about that story, it's a lovely tale.
It's a lovely tale.
But what are some other places that you defecated in? What are some other tragic poop stories, other than the cleanup poop, but the ones you specifically participated in?
My shit stories, they always happen on tour. Because it's so...
Were you that kid growing up that always had to stop at the gas station because you had to go to the potty?
No. I'm actually... I have a very good control of my bladder. It's just when we're not allowed to shit for like hours and hours. Like... Once we're out of the venue and we're not allowed to go back in, we have to figure out... We can't shit on the bus, so we have to figure something else out if we have to shit. So, the other time was... Oh my God, this is... This is disgusting. So I was on tour last year for the Christmas tour. You're the first person I've told this to. Okay. Jasmine was on the bus, and I think she might know about it, but I don't think I ever like told her the story. But we were coming up on a break right before Christmas. We had Christmas Eve and Christmas Day off in Florida. So I flew my partner in, and I got a cute little Airbnb, and I invited anyone who wanted to come over and hang out with us. But that morning we got in town, and my stomach was not having it whatsoever.
Yeah,
and yeah. And we hadn't quite made it there yet. We were on the road from the last city, and I was just sitting there, just taking it all in, just sitting there feeling every bump in the road, and I was like, I can't take this. So I went into the refrigerator. There was it was my food. It was my food from last night. It was only a little bit left, so I took it. It was like a black bottom with the clear top, and I took the food and threw it in the trash can. Went and put it in the toilet, and I shit in the plate, and then covered it up, and then like closed it, wrapped it up in a plastic bag, and then put it in the trash can. And then hopped off the bus and went to my Airbnb.
Like nothing happened.
And did. And we'll do it again if I have to.
You wrapped it up like leftovers.
And
You're like, I trained all my life for this moment.
Tour life is hard, y'all. Tour life is hard. I've lived on the road for the last 2.5 years almost. It's hard. It's rough.
Well, on the note of that lovely story, that is the last of my cards and the last bit of time that we have before we have to rush you off to the gig. But while we were talking about that, like you said, tour life is hard, and
we got to tour together.
I mean, if they ever book me for one, I want to do the haters roast so bad.
It'd be cunty.
I want to do it so bad.
It's so much fun.
I know.
I don't think they're gonna do it in America, but they might do it back in the UK.
No, they need to bring it on back.
I want them to
invite me. But yeah, tour life is hard, and bowels are also difficult to deal with as well.
They're struggling.
So like, before you go, I want to give you a gift from me to you to thank you for your time here today. These are some portable wipes to take with you.
Thank you so much.
You have. They're not sponsored, by the way,
no.
Unless.
Well, they could be.
But yeah, just as a thank you for any other mishaps that may come along the way, whether it be like in a parking lot or on a plate, just wherever it may take you.
I shit on a plate.
On a platter, yeah.
In Florida.
On a platter.
Oh God.
Shitted on them.
And I did.
Shitted on them.
And I'll do it again.
But yeah, Heidi, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for everyone watching. Where can people find you? What do you have going on? You have your podcast, social medias.
I got podcasts, Hall and Closet. Check us out. Check me out on almost all my social media at Heidi and Closet, except for TikTok, the Heidi and Closet. Give me a follow on my Patreon at patreon.com/Heidi and Patreon, where I have a lot of exclusive content that I don't post anywhere else, as well as my YouTube channel, which I'm about to start working on. I'm excited because a lot of the content that is on my Patreon that's not going to be exclusive, I'm going to move over slowly to my YouTube as well.
Yeah, monetize it.
I'm excited.
You got to become a bedroom queen.
Let me tell you something. I'm not gonna leave the house no more.
Hey, honestly, like I'm sitting in my guest bedroom with the air conditioning. It's not too bad. It's not too shabby. Don't sleep on it.
Don't sleep on it. Trust. I've been quarantined. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And did. Yeah. But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Join us next time whenever we have somebody else. And yeah, till then.
Bye
guys.
Do you ever feel pussy cut?
Legally, I have to say no.